Project Mark 5 update. Whole car's on axle stands, chilling. All the braking system is removed. Brake calipers, discs, pads, carrier, backing plate or shield. I've given them a little pressure wash out inside. Looking fairly clean. Giving the outside a quick spruce up. Quick pressure wash. Yeah, fronts again. Everything removed. That's one cloudy headlight. It's one slightly better headlight. I've just started polishing this up. So I'm using 1500, then 2000, then 2500 grit wet and dry sandpaper, and then using a compound and a machine polisher to polish them man up again. No, them one. Front fog light's been replaced. Near side light bulb's been replaced. Headlight bulb on that side's been replaced. Windscreen crack. That's booked in for tomorrow, so I've got a new windscreen being fitted tomorrow. This shield here, so this lower shield, that's been replaced. Found a VW breakers in Chelmsford yesterday, so I got loads of little bits. So yeah, that's been put on because it was missing for some reason. Again, tricky previous owner, this one. Near side mirror glass replaced. Hello. Just these are all just little jobs which there's no point in filming really. Again, near side rear. Rear wiper has been removed and replaced with a watertight bung, which just gives it the, you know, clean German look. I've also debadged Golf and GT at the back. Talking of badges, I've also taken the GT badge off the front. I hate badges like that, they're just poncy and they mean nothing. It's a diesel Golf, not a GT of it in any description. Let me just open up the car. What have I done in here? Just little bits and bobs really. One of these little parcel shelf rubber grommets was missing, so I've replaced that. I have cleaned out all the shuts. Just pressure washed all the door shuts and the boot shut out. Oh, and I've replaced this little cap. It just gives you access to the, I'm not going to take it off, it gives you access to the rear tail light. So that one's been replaced. Again, clean the door shuts, just pressure washed them out quickly. I've glued this back on. That little cover there was coming off, or had come off. There are some super glue marks around it, but they'll clean off, obviously, when I start cleaning the interior. Yeah, like I say, all bulb's been replaced. I've removed, there was a parrot installed, I've removed that cabling out. There was a little microphone up there, I've removed that. VW bottle opener. It's sort of a bottle opener and it slides along the rungs, so when you put a drink in there, it holds it in place. Handbrake on order. Sorry, not handbrake. Gear stick gaiter on order because there's a fair amount of wear there. I think that's all I'm waiting for now. I think that's the last bit. I've got a set of floor mats, and then I'll give the interior a good old clean up. What else have I got to mention? As you can see, even just a little bit of, so this is the headlight I haven't touched yet. Quite hazy, faded. This one's the one I have started working on, so it already looks a little bit better. Yeah, no real further update. Back on Project Mark 5. Painting brake calipers. So I've wire-walled them all down. I've got some drill brush attachments, and I'm doing them a nice gloss black. Pretty nice, I think you'll agree. For a sportier look, some might say. But I'll update on progress later on in the day. Here's a few bits I've been using especially on the brake calipers. So on the brake calipers I was using these, so they're just wire brushes and they fit on just a normal drill. What I actually did was put the drill in a vise, and I taped the drill switch on. So basically you've then got the drill sat in a vise and you're just running the brake component over or sort of under the drill. You just made the drill into like a pillar drill, just fixed it in place. But yeah, there's loads of like different sizes, small ones, big ones, and then I finished off just using some Scotch pads like these, just to try and get rid of some of the bigger like scratches and stuff. So that's a hard one, that's a medium, a blue. Don't think I could bother getting any fine ones. And then I've just got various sounding discs really, P60 grit sounding discs, 80, 120. Yeah, useful little tools. Again, the sounding discs and the Scotch-Brite discs, just a little holder that goes in the drill. It's very hard to do it with one hand, but that screws off. New one screws in. Yeah, useful little kit this, and paid about 15 quid for all of these bits. Amazon Prime and that. To the paint booth. So I've got all the braking parts painted now, gloss black. They look pretty nice. Massive improvement on what they were before. This literally took me a couple of hours, I would say. So you've got, this is front caliper carrier, backing plate, front again, and then the two rears, exactly the same. You notice I haven't bothered painting all around them. So this is obviously the back, so this caliper sits on the car like that. So that's what you'll see. So absolutely perfect. You've got to be careful when you're doing these, especially on the carriers, not to actually paint, or if you are going to paint inside them, to Scotch-Brite it off again before you fit them. See, I've left the gap in there. That's where the pads sit. So you don't want to be putting any paint in there, because it's going to thicken that holder, and your pads will just stick in there or not fit in there properly. So I probably will give them a little clean up before I fit them. Same again with the threads. I've been pretty careful not to get any paint in the actual threads. I mean, it will screw out. As soon as you put a bolt in there, it'll push the paint out, but it would leave a higher likelihood of you getting a bolt. You know, you bolt it all up, and then a year down the line when you come to do the rear pads again, the bolt's probably going to be seized inside that carrier, because paint is not meant to be used as a Loctite. Different subject, I'm doing my 6 Series exhaust tips in black. So it does look quite matte or silver, like grey at the moment. These were silver previously, but I've got some engine lacquer, so I'm using high temp paint here. Same again with this. This is like rated to like 600 degrees Celsius, this paint, so it's not going to start wearing down or wearing off. Yeah, a couple of projects on the go. A couple more coats in this, so I'm going to do about 5 coats of black, and then probably 5, maybe 6 coats of lacquer. So it's pretty expensive, this stuff. It's like £10 a can, but it's real good. High coat is the best. Always be safe in your workshops, chaps. Get your fire extinguishers involved. You know, that one's probably well out of date, but looks nice, isn't it? Look at this place, the tip. It's not my shed. Can't be taking any abuse for that. DJ. This one here had a slow puncher, but it had a good tread in it, so I took it down the shop and I said, can you see if it's got a leak? And it didn't have any, it didn't have a nail in it, didn't have a hole in it. It was just the wheel had started corroding a little bit on the outer, or sorry, the inner edge, and it just started, well, it just wasn't sealing properly, so he ground it down a little bit, and then put a new bead of sealant around it, put the tyre back on. He said, yeah, just monitor it basically. So it's pumped up to 35 psi. It's been like that for 2 days and it's still fine. I haven't actually physically checked the psi, but it's holding pressure nicely, so that was a good one. And that was £10 to charge me for that. So that was lovely. Right, so investigating the oil leak. You can see this engine bay is covered. It's absolutely caked in oil. All these are thick. And it's old oil as well. It's like, look, even the alternator, that's meant to be silver. Absolutely thick with grease or oil. So it's got an oil leak. Oil leaks always look worse than they are, to be honest, because it's spraying out at high pressure. But I've taken the rocker cover off, cam cover, whatever you want to call it. Noticed a couple of bits. Someone's obviously had a go at this. This is a common fault on MK5 Golfs. They're leaking in this corner here. So somewhere around there, tiny little leak in the gasket. So I think someone's had this rocker cover off in the past, because when I started undoing this, I noticed, this is the cam belt, I noticed that the cam belt cover is actually snapped. It's cracked. It's not meant to be opening there. So I would say, rather than actually undoing the clips, because there's little clips here that hold the cam belt cover in place, someone's just given it a bit of brute force and opened it. So I'm going to try and get that off today and get a new one, a new cover. You really don't want stuff getting in there, especially oil, grease. So I think it's probably best I change that. Yeah, so I've got a new, I'll show you the top of the rocker cover box in a sec, but this is how it looks exposed with the cams. So I'm pretty confident this oil leak is here. I also think there's an oil leak underneath. Let's take you underneath. I don't know how much you'll be able to see in this light, but again, oh, everywhere you look, it is absolutely caked in oil. That is thick with oil. All over the gearbox. All the suspension components are covered in it. Lower arms. This is the actual oil sump here. I think, well, I'm not going to know this until I've cleaned it up and run it for a while, but I think this oil sump is also leaking because the gasket around this edge here, obviously it goes all the way around, a few bits of the gasket had solidified and they were hanging off. Sort of, you know, they've been pushed out almost. Didn't look right to me, but the plan is, I mean, look at it up here. That is just thick. It's just thick, sludgy oil. Like I say, oil leaks do always look worse than they are, but this is particularly bad, I think. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the rocker cover gasket. I'm also going to RTV that with a little bit of sealant as well as the actual gasket, because like I say, these are prone to leaking, so I'm told. And then I'm going to clean the whole, well, I'm going to leave it 36 hours just to dry, cure properly. Then I'm going to cover up a couple of bits of, I'm going to give this engine bay a complete wash. So I'm going to pressure wash it, get rid of all the muck. So I'll use a degreaser. I use Auto Gleam machine cleaner, I think it's called. I'll show you it when I get round to the job in the next couple of days. I'm going to clean the whole thing. I'm going to absolutely douse the whole engine bay in degreaser and underneath, and all the suspension components. It's good that I've got the wheels off because I can access in all these little crevices up here. I'll leave that machine cleaner on for probably 20 minutes. I want to pressure wash the whole thing off. Probably get some brushes and stuff involved as well. Get it nice and clean, or at least back to a non-oily standard. Then I'm going to run the engine for probably an hour or so idle. Probably go out for a half-an-hour drive as well. No, I won't, because there's no wheels or brakes. I'll leave it to idle for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. And put some nice clean rags or cardboard underneath the engine, and I'll just come out and periodically look and see if I can see any visible leaks. What I don't want to do, it's a big job changing this sump pan gasket, and it's a pretty hard job when you're a foot from it. You know, it's not too bad a job if you've got a ramp and you're standing on it, it's a bit more pleasant, but I really don't want to replace that unless I absolutely have to. So let's try the top rocker cover first, gasket first, and hopefully that is going to cure the issue. I've got a couple of other ideas if not, but honestly, like I say, it is doused under here, so join me in a bit.